Mr. President, Senator Perkins just mentioned that there's a high level of pollution in the New York metropolitan area. Senator Perkins, why did you not just make this bill pertain to the New York metropolitan area, and why did you have it affect the entire state?
Because it's a statewide problem. I just pointed out particularly how it affects the New York metropolitan area.
Mr. President, will he continue to yield?
Senator Perkins, do you continue to yield?
Yes, sir.
Sponsor yields.
Senator, if it's a statewide problem, did you examine the ramifications of this statewide problem to those of us who have home heating oil customers in rural areas of upstate New York?
Surely, through you, Mr. President, as you know, we surely did, and in fact had some negotiations with you and our colleagues in the upstate area to try to be helpful towards that end.
Thank you. Mr. President, would you continue to yield?
Senator Perkins, do you continue to yield?
Yes, sir.
Sponsor yields.
And Mr. President, through you, Mr. Perkins, what did you change to be helpful to my upstate colleagues as it pertains to their home heating oil constituents?
Well, through you, Mr. President, we obviously changed the date, and we were hopeful that we could change even more, but at this point in time, this is the best that we could do.
And through you, Mr. President?
Senator Libous.
Senator, it is the date that's the problem here. It is the date that is going to increase the cost of home heating oil to our constituents. So by changing the date, I believe a year, how does that help? How does that help the refineries and those who produce the product to get up to speed within an adequate amount of time? Everyone's telling us it's going to take 3 to 4 years. Other states have said it takes 3 to 4 years. Without increasing the cost of home heating oil to those who depend on it.
Through you, Mr. President. Well, we did have the negotiation in which we expected certain changes to be made as per the request, and at this point in time, there's no evidence that any efforts have been made to accommodate the bill.
Mr. President, again, I guess I'll respond to that. I mean, an effort was made just a few moments ago in the form of an amendment to try to accommodate the bill, but if the senator would continue to yield.
Yes, I will.
Sponsor yields.
Senator, what effect is this bill going to have on domestic home heating oil supplies for those of us outside of the metropolitan New York area? Well,
you know, the bill includes an opportunity for the governor, as I pointed out earlier, to make exceptions by executive order if there's for considerations of scarcity, number one. And we also have been told that some of the problems have been overstated in terms of the scarcity.
Mr. President, would you continue to
Senator
yield?
Perkins, do you continue to yield?
Yes, sir.
Sponsor yields.
Senator, I guess I'm really concerned because I think it will have a very negative effect on home heating oil supplies because wouldn't you agree with me that by not giving the refineries time to change over and meet the qualifications that the supply will then diminish because they won't be able to produce it to sell it because it would not have met the qualifications of your bill?
Through you, Mr. President. You know, we have 2.6 million households in New York using home heating oil. We believe that the producers will adapt to this new approach such that it will mitigate the kind of concerns that you have.
Would Senator Perkins continue to yield?
Senator Perkins, do you yield?
Yes, sir.
Sponsor continues.
Senator Perkins, as I said before, I understand what you're trying to do, and I have said to you on a number of occasions in the past that the issue here is the time. The issue is the time for these refineries to be able to change over to meet the standards that you have in your bill. And I have no problem with the standards, sir. But what do I tell a senior citizen or a family of seniors two folks in their 80s that depend on living The other day I used Candor, New York. I guess I'll use Bainbridge in Shenango County. We'll switch counties. Rural community, they depend on home heating oil, or they don't stay warm in the wintertime because there's no way that they can get natural gas or any other alternative. How do I tell them that the supply of their oil is now gone, or the cost has doubled because of a regulation that was put on by the legislature that just all they had to do is give the refinery a couple more years to get up to speed? But now the supply has been limited because of that legislation.
Through you, Mr. President. Again, we're very sympathetic to the concerns of the seniors and those who would, from your point of view, be adversely affected. As I pointed out again, there is a provision for the governor to respond to the scarcity that you suggest, number one. Number two, I believe that the time is now for us to move forward, having tried to create the kind of accommodations that we believe will help us overcome the problems that you're concerned about. And so I guess we have an irreconcilable difference from that point of view, but I know that we have made good faith efforts in the best interest of all New Yorkers to try to address your concerns as well as the larger concern about the reduction of sulfur.
Would the senator continue to yield?
Senator Perkins, do you continue to yield?
Yes.
Sponsor continues
Senator,
to yield.
again, you stress that you care very much about the environment and sulfate, but yet in New York City, many large residential folks in office buildings use number 6 formula heating oil. Why doesn't your bill include them?
What was this question? Would you repeat the question, please?
Senator Libous, would you mind repeating your question?
Oh, yes, Mr. President. I'm sorry, Senator. I said in New York City, many large residential units and office buildings use number 6 formula heating oil. Why doesn't your bill include them?
There is a, through you, Mr. President, I think that that is a concern that we will take a look at moving forward.
So Senator, you stressed earlier, sir, that you are concerned about the metropolitan area, but yet many people in the metropolitan area will be exempt, and yet many people outside of the metropolitan area will now have a tremendous hardship. I don't see that as fair.
Through you, Mr. President.
Senator Perkins.
It's fair to the people of the state of New York as it puts us on track to try to reduce sulfur for all in the state. And obviously it's a project, it's a piece of legislation that allows for the governor to intervene where necessary to make up for any shortcomings such as the type that you're talking about.
Senator Perkins, do you continue to yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Senator, wouldn't you agree that it's more fair for those building owners in New York City than it is for the senior citizens and the poor folks on fixed incomes who live in rural areas in New York State?
I'm sorry, would you
Senator
repeat
Perkins.
yourself, please?
Senator Libous, would you repeat
hear
your
you.
question for Senator Perkins?
Must be, is my mic on? Because usually I have quite a melodious tone. I'm sorry.
Well, today you might be talking a little lower because of your concerns about the people of the
Mr.
state.
President, my question to Senator Perkins was, wouldn't you say that this legislation was more fair to the building owners of New York City than it is to the folks on fixed incomes who depend on home heating oil in the rest of New York State?
No, through you, Mr. President. No, I wouldn't say that. And in fact, again, I think that if, as I point out to you, if exceptions need to be made, the bill allows for the kind of changes that if they're real, then the governor will be able to make those changes.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the bill?
Senator Libous on the bill.